The idea of discovering Jesus' DNA is a fascinating and controversial concept that has captured the public imagination. If such a discovery were to occur, it would have far-reaching implications for both religious and scientific communities. From a historical perspective, the DNA of Jesus could provide valuable insights into his ancestry and lineage. This would be of great interest to scholars and historians, as it could potentially fill gaps in our understanding of Jesus' family background and cultural context. DNA analysis could reveal information about the ethnicity and geographical origins of Jesus' ancestors, shedding light on the historical and cultural influences that shaped his life. From a religious perspective, the discovery of Jesus' DNA could challenge traditional beliefs and raise new questions about the nature of Jesus' divinity. Some religious scholars and believers may view the discovery of Jesus' DNA as a potential opportunity to deepen their faith and understanding of Jesus' humanity. On the other hand, some may view it as a threat to their beliefs, as it could challenge traditional notions of Jesus' miraculous conception and divine nature. The ethical considerations of studying the DNA of a religious figure must also be considered. The sensitivity and reverence with which the remains of the dead are treated vary from culture to culture and religion to religion. The discovery of Jesus' DNA raises questions about the ethical boundaries of scientific research and whether it is appropriate to analyze the genetic material of a religious figure. Another significant issue is the potential for fraud and misinterpretation. Claims of discovering historical relics and artifacts are often met with skepticism and controversy, and the authenticity and accuracy of such discoveries must be carefully evaluated. Genealogical research has long been an important tool for understanding historical figures and their place in society. By analyzing DNA samples from individuals with known familial relationships, scientists can trace ancestry and construct family trees with remarkable accuracy. With the discovery of Jesus' DNA, it may be possible to construct a family tree that extends back several generations, potentially revealing information about the geographical origins and ethnic identity of Jesus' ancestors. The genetic analysis of Jesus' DNA could also reveal information about his health and physical characteristics. By analyzing the DNA for genetic markers associated with certain traits, scientists could gain insights into aspects of Jesus' appearance and health. For example, researchers have used DNA analysis to speculate that King Tutankhamun suffered from several genetic disorders. Similarly, the analysis of Jesus' DNA could reveal whether he was predisposed to certain medical conditions or had any physical traits that were common among people of his ancestry. Furthermore, the discovery of Jesus' DNA could have significant implications for our understanding of the genetic history of the region in which he lived. By comparing his DNA to that of modern populations, researchers could identify genetic markers that are unique to the region and that have been passed down through generations. This could reveal information about the historical movements of populations and the interactions between different groups of people in the region. The first step in extracting ancient DNA is to obtain a sample of the material that contains the DNA. In the case of human remains, this may involve taking a small piece of bone, hair, or tissue. The sample must be thoroughly cleaned to remove any contaminants that may interfere with the analysis. This involves a series of chemical treatments and physical methods, such as grinding or drilling the sample to obtain a pure DNA extract. Once the sample has been cleaned, the DNA must be extracted. This involves breaking down the cell walls and membranes to release the DNA. Several methods can be used for DNA extraction, including enzymatic digestion, mechanical disruption, and chemical lysis. The extracted DNA is often in small quantities and may be degraded, making it difficult to analyze. To overcome this, a process called polymerase chain reaction, PCR, is used to amplify the DNA. PCR involves replicating the DNA sequence to generate millions of copies, making it easier to analyze. The amplified DNA is then sequenced using modern high-throughput sequencing technologies, such as Illumina or nanopore sequencing. This allows researchers to read the genetic code of the ancient DNA and compare it to modern genomes. The authentication of the DNA of Jesus could challenge some of the religious dogma and beliefs surrounding his life and teachings. For example, it could challenge the concept of the virgin birth, which holds that Jesus was conceived without a human father. The authentication of the DNA of Jesus could lead to changes in religious practices and rituals. For example, it could lead to changes in the way that Jesus is depicted in art and iconography, and changes in the way that religious services and ceremonies are conducted. The authentication of the DNA of Jesus could challenge the authority of religious leaders and institutions, as well as the interpretations of religious texts and teachings. The authentication of the DNA of Jesus could also raise questions of ownership and preservation. Who would own the genetic material, and how would it be preserved and protected for future generations? According to the Christian scriptures, Jesus was born in Bethlehem to Mary and Joseph. He grew up in Nazareth and worked as a carpenter before beginning his ministry at around the age of 30. Jesus' ministry involved teaching and preaching, as well as performing miracles such as healing the sick and feeding the hungry. He also challenged the religious authorities of his day and spoke out against social injustices such as poverty and oppression. Jesus' teachings are characterized by their emphasis on love, forgiveness, and compassion. He taught the importance of treating others as one would like to be treated, and he advocated for peace and nonviolence. The Sermon on the Mount, found in the Gospel of Matthew, is perhaps the most famous of Jesus' teachings. It includes the Beatitudes, a series of blessings for those who exhibit certain virtues such as humility, mercy, and peacemaking. Jesus frequently taught using parables, which were stories with a moral or spiritual lesson. Some of his most famous parables include the Good Samaritan, the Prodigal Son, and the parable of the sower. Jesus' final days were marked by the Last Supper, a Passover meal with his disciples, and his crucifixion on a Roman cross. Christians believe that Jesus died for the forgiveness of sins and rose from the dead 3 days later, an event known as the resurrection. After his resurrection, Jesus gave his disciples the Great Commission, instructing them to go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Jesus' teachings on love, forgiveness, and compassion have continued to inspire people of all faiths and backgrounds. His message of treating others as one would like to be treated, and advocating for peace and nonviolence, remains as relevant today as it was in his time. Jesus' teachings also emphasized the importance of standing up for the marginalized and oppressed. He spoke out against poverty, oppression, and injustice, and called on his followers to do the same. This message continues to inspire those who work for social justice and human rights. Jesus' message of love and compassion has also been a catalyst for interfaith dialogue and understanding. Christians, Muslims, Jews, and people of other faiths have found common ground in their shared commitment to these values. In conclusion, the continuing relevance of Jesus is a testament to the enduring power of his message. His teachings on love, forgiveness, and compassion continue to inspire people of all faiths and backgrounds, and his life and message remain a powerful source of hope and inspiration for millions of people around the world.